Welcome back to the Ludiverse. I am Jay, your host. I have another guest again. Would you care to introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Jeri L. Evergood. It's good to be on here today.
And it's good to have you on. We've been acquaintances for quite some time. Never actually met.
That's how it goes in the internet age.
Yeah, but you have just recently started dipping your toes into the more open world of kink and the lifestyle of like that. You recently posted in one of the groups that you had gone to your first munch, which I haven't even done that. I got to find one of those to go to.
Yeah, without giving away locations and stuff, you might have to travel a bit.
Oh, yeah, I'm well aware. Yeah.
And we will discuss that. We will discuss my frustrations when trying to find my very first munch and navigating the waters of trying to find one that I trust.
Yeah. I talked to another guy who went into about the munch thing in great detail, and he explained how some of them are pretty toxic, and it's good to find a good one. So we'll talk about that later. So is the interest in all of this like a recent development in your life, or is this something you've been thinking about for a while and just kind of didn't actually want to go after until now?
That's probably the more accurate. It's probably more that I've been going through a lot of changes in my life, and and we'll get into that also. And this was just something I wasn't ready at first to confront, for lack of a better word. Just let everyone know there who don't know me, I am a 39-year-old trans woman. I've been transitioning for a year and 2 months now. So I've been dealing with a lot of transgender issues. So this side of me is like going, hey, what about me? It's like, I can't deal with you right now. You know what I mean? Like, I got so much on my plate that these things that I'm not saying didn't exist. I just like, I don't know. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. I can't put my energy into this. I'm already exhausted. I don't need to fantasize being on my knees. The world is already bringing me on my knees, type deal. And but to go back further, I've always had an interest in these things. I just never fully explored them. And sometimes I misinterpret them. Like if you don't mind me going back, like way back, it's just, I think sometimes to tell a proper story, you have to go to the beginning.
Well, you're an author, so if anybody knows anything about telling a story, be better you than me.
It was in my, I have to be open and honest to tell an accurate story. I'm still a virgin. And the reason I bring this up is, most of my unfortunate sex knowledge and sex interactions have been online. And sometimes not even some of them, most of the time, they aren't realistic. And one thing I learned really quickly at an early age is that just when I was watching porn, plain old, just straight up fucking didn't do it for me. Like, it wasn't long. It didn't take long for me to realize that. You know what I'm saying? Like, guy, girl find each other in an improbable scenario, and next thing you know, they're going at it. It was like, boring, and not knocking anyone who's into that. It was just, it wasn't doing anything, and it was getting kind of frustrating because it's like, what the hell am I into? Like, I didn't even have that's not even how I was wording it. It was just more like, why? It's like, everybody I know is getting off on porn. Why am I not getting off on porn? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know why I started tipping and started exploring other porn videos, but my first fetish was tickling. And I could not begin to explain to you how I learned that. But just next thing you know, I'm on tickling forums. I'm watching tickling videos. And and at first there's this weird feeling of you feel odd. Like this. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
This is what's doing it. And then tickling, because people are usually tied down when they're tickled, that usually got into bondage. And then as I got into bondage, I would explore other bondage videos. And I'm not going to go into every step of every single one of my kinks, but, it became like a kink tree. Instead of a family tree, it's a kink tree where everything started branching out to other fetishes. And next thing you know, I realized the things I'm into, but I never had a chance to fully explore them for a lot of reasons. One, stigma. Two, fear of actually following through on these fantasies. And C, misinterpretation. Because when I was originally exploring these things, I thought I was the one who wanted to be in control. I wanted to be the tickler. I wanted to be the one tying you up. I wanted to be one spanking you. And it took me into my 30s to realize that these were not the signals I was receiving. And I think that kind of caught me off guard when I realized that, no, I did not want to be in control. I wanted to be controlled. And we're going to go deep into that in a moment because there's more to it. And then we get to present day, I start realizing I gravitate towards people who are, what's the word I'm looking for? They take charge. You know what I'm saying? And it's not even a sexual thing. I mean, I want there to be sex. I'm approaching 40. I kind of want there to be sex, but I like it when people take charge. I like it when they're in control. I like it when I push back and they put me in my place. As odd as that may sound to some people, that's what I'm into. And I had a few friendships that really work because they were the people who took charge and made the decisions, and I felt comfortable, protected, and relaxed around that. And I still wasn't connecting the dots. It was August when I finally connected dots because I kind of slipped. What happened, and I'm saying a lot, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
What happened is I had a huge anxiety attack in August, and a friend was trying to calm me down, and they were not succeeding. And finally, they got authoritative as hell, and they went, "You need to calm down now." And when they said now in a certain way, something triggered in my brain, and without thinking, I went, "Yes, sir." And I was in the airport when I did this, so I'm crying. I'm a mess. I'm crumbled on the floor, and then all of a sudden, just everything changed for a second. I don't know how to better explain it. And I'm just like, holy shit, snap of a finger. I'm that stern voice, that taking charge. It wasn't just a matter of calming me down. It was a matter that did it for me. And it had done it for me before, but at that moment there was like clarity. I didn't explore it until I got back from my vacation, but I started researching. I started looking. I'm like, that little voice in my head that I've been ignoring for years finally went, just say it. Just say it. You'll feel better. You'll feel free. I'm like, I'm submissive. And it felt odd at saying it at first because there's people who are not in the know and don't properly understand BDSM. You tell them you're submissive, there's a lot of connotations that they automatically take from that aren't always positive,
Oh, yeah.
So I'm a submissive, I'm a bottom. And at first it was a little, I don't want to say scary, that's over dramatizing. But I was definitely caught off guard with this honesty with myself. It's like, okay, but what now? It's like, okay, I'm a submissive. Guess great. Yay for me. I'm glad I figured that out. I'm glad I accepted that. But what now? And I started doing research. I joined FetLife. I don't mind saying I joined FetLife because I'm pretty sure plenty of listeners on here are on FetLife.
I have a FetLife account. It's just a thing.
Yeah, it's just a thing. And to be honest, the first few interactions I had were awful. I didn't really go back and forth a lot just because I didn't trust the setup. I didn't trust how they were wording things. And that was my first lesson. Lesson number one I've learned is there's a lot of abusers masked as doms, and that's a scary thing, especially for someone who is dipping their toes in and doesn't know the ins and outs, the warning signs, and what they should look for. And I'm not trying to put negative connotation on dom. Please don't think that's what I'm doing. I'm just saying, unfortunately, a lot of people are masked, and you got to be careful of that. And there were people reaching out to me that when I read what they said and how they were speaking, I didn't trust it. And I could have been wrong, but sometimes you have to go through instinct, especially when you're new, and especially when you're trans. I've had to deal with at least one trans fetishist, and it's not fun. But in the exploring I learned, I was a classification of sub. I'm not going to say who, and I'm not going to say where, but with a couple people in my life, I do what they tell me to do, but I realize I enjoy pushing back and being irritating about it. It's like the Bob's Burger meme. All right, I'll do it, but I'll complain about it the entire time. So I researched that going, at first I'm like, okay, maybe I am controlling and dominant at times. So the more I read, I'm like, oh no, there's a term for this. I'm a brat. And if you don't know what a brat is, I'm a submissive who has a defiant, misbehaving demeanor. Let me be clear. My goal is to never win. The dominant still wins. And I get punished. I get put in my place. And it's part of the dynamic. But I do like to, ring bells, push buttons, and just be irritable at times because I get something out of it. Things start spiraling from there. It's like, okay, I'm a submissive. I'm a brat. How do I explore this? I live in a vanilla as hell town. There are kinksters in this town, but I've tried to reach out, and they're very closed off, and they don't respond well. So I start looking for groups. And oh boy, let me say right now, certain group names I read, and I'm not going to list them, but certain group names you read, and you automatically go, no. Like, there's just something to suspect. There's not enough information. There's not enough detail. For me, the more detail, the more comfortable I am with what I'm getting into. If you just post some random few words with no details on what the meetup is, and I have no idea about the place you want us to meet, I'm not going. So I learned about munches. And a munch, for anyone who doesn't know, is like a casual social gathering for BDSM people. And a lot of times they're inviting to new people. And they can be educational, they can be casual, they can be conversational, and it's a good way to dip your toes in. So when I learned about munches, I'm like, great, I'm going to look up a local munch. And as our wonderful host here can tell you how that probably went, it didn't. There was nothing near me. Or if they were near me, they were so poorly attended, there was no point in going. And I started getting frustrated because I have this side of me. I'm a sub, I'm a brat. I know what I want. I really want to test this dynamic out. I want to put it in practice, not theory, and I have no way of comfortably doing so. I have no outlet. I am getting frustrated. I'm getting mad. I'm just not happy. And I'm not going to name the group because I don't know if they want to be named, and I don't want to burn bridges I'm trying to build, but I finally found a munch. It was held in a bar in Norfolk. It had description. It had good attendance. They had a group page that I could look at, and I read the vetting process and felt super comfortable. These were people with a plan. These are people with a message, a following, a community, and they were in a public place. So I reached out to make sure it was okay I could attend because I have general anxiety, and I didn't want to drive an hour and 10 minutes and find out I couldn't be there. They were like, no, come. So last Monday, I went to my first munch, and I am happy to report it went really well. The first 45 minutes were nerve-wracking because every time I wanted to go talk to someone, I thought I was interrupting or they were in deep conversation and I didn't want to intrude. You don't want to be rude. You don't want to come off rude when you're introducing yourself to people who are going to help you. Finally, this wonderful man walked up to me and goes, "You don't know what you're doing." That was the exact way he said it. He's like, "You don't know what you're doing." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, let's talk." And when he talked, it all came out. My fetishes, my interests, my desires, my wants, my needs, my goals, what I was doing there. It just all came out. And he's like, "You need to come back." He's like, "I want you to come back." And that snap of my finger was all I needed to hear. I started mingling more. I made a few connections, met some wonderful people. There was even a cute dog as a bonus. If you want to win my heart, cute dogs will do it. Started talking to people, started learning interests, started explaining my interests. It's still dipping my toes in. You know what I mean? I still have a long way to go to better understand how to fulfill my role, what I should look for, what I shouldn't look for. I still have a long way to go, but I now have a start. And that was a huge confidence booster. I have to drive an hour and 10 minutes to get what I need, but sometimes you have to do these things to get what you need.
Oh, yeah. Well, they say the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
It begins with a single step. And it took me a lot of small, jittery shuffles before I did this one big step. And now I've taken it. And now that I've taken it, I am more confident in being able to find what I want, which is a sir, a master, a dom, a brat tamer. You can use any of those words, and I will say yes. I do want to point out, since I am talking pretty stream of conscious here, so if I'm being hard to follow, I apologize. I do want to point out, because some people outside of the BDSM community misunderstand dom subs. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
They see it as a completely sexual thing.
Well, 50 Shades of Grey has a lot to do with that.
You know what? Before I even got into this stuff, I thought, fuck 50 Shades of Grey. You know what I mean? Because I had friends who were into this, and they warned me. They're like, stay the fuck away from 50 Shades of Grey. You are going to get nothing of importance, fact, or accuracy from that. And I listened because they knew what they were talking about. I didn't. But it is not a sex thing. It's not an abuse thing. I saw a meme recently that said it best. And when I read it, it like hit me like a shot. Submission is a gift. Dominance is a privilege. What that means is you're not forcing submission out of me. Even though I am the brat role, you're not forcing submission out of me. I'm giving it to you. You know what I'm saying? I am giving you the gift of my submission. And in return, you're getting the privilege of dominating me. And if you break that, and if you do anything that breaks that trust, I can take it away. That is my right. I can leave. I can get off my knees. I can say, this is done. This is not what I wanted. This is not what we agreed on. This is not what I expected. Just because I give you my submission doesn't mean it's completely and utterly yours without me having any say so.
Oh, yeah.
There's power in that.
Well, one of the first things that any good dom needs to understand is that the sub's the one with all the power.
Yeah, and those are waters I have to navigate because, I know what I want on my dom, and then when I vet a potential, I need them to be explicit what they want out of me so we can see what works, because there should be only one person's get. It's like any relationship. if you're in a relationship where only one person gets something out of it, you're in the wrong relationship. I want them to get something out of it, but I definitely want something out of it. And it's not all sex. Some of it's protection. Some of it's security. Some of it is comfort. Some of it is just knowing I'm taken care of. You know what I mean? I am bad at decisions. I'm not saying I make poor decisions. I'm just saying it can take me 5 hours to make a decision that should take 10 minutes, if that makes any sense. And having someone in my life who can say, this is the right decision, and I can trust them that it's the right decision. That's important. I don't want someone to say this is the right decision and then I do it willy-nilly and I'm fucked. It has to be a trust. But that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for a TPE, total power exchange, but I'm definitely looking for someone who can be in charge, look out for me. We'll go ahead and say it, discipline me if necessary and what's deserved, but ultimately take care of me, comfort me, and aftercare me when they need to. These are all important. It is not just sex. Anyone who thinks it's just sex do not understand this.
The Ludiverse is sponsored by the House of Algos. Go to gumroad.com/House of Algos for a wide number of recorded classes on BDSM topics, including mindfucking, negotiation, knife play, fire play, flogging, whips, developing your dom or sub side, finding play partners, and much more. And use discount code COMMUNICATE, COMMUNICATE, for 10% off of any purchase. That's House of Algos, HOUSEOFALGOS.
And to be fair, I didn't understand it at first. At first, I thought, oh, this is a nice little sex thing. Then the more I read it, I go, no, there's more into it, and I'm into that shit. And it's actually kind of freeing saying this all out loud on this podcast because I've said it to friends in private, but now just getting it all out there in this rambling stream of conscious mess, it feels good to just be able to say, yeah, I'm submissive, and I'm not ashamed of it because I shouldn't be.
Well, I try to create a safe space where people can just say whatever, get it out there, talk about what they're here to talk about, and just let it flow.
I have to admit, I was nervous coming on to your podcast. I know you've had people who are experts or knowledgeable with topics, and this is like a time where you're having someone who is still learning as your guest. It's like the complete opposite spectrum.
Oh, yeah. Well, see, that's the reason I wanted you on the show. That's the reason I asked you if you wanted to be on, is because if all I had was experts, then the show starts getting clinical. And you are like an ideal guest right now because you are living this raw, like from the get-go. Yeah. So you get a real natural experience, and you can, like, if somebody's listening and they're getting ready to get started themselves, they can hear you talk about it and be like, well, they're just now going through this themselves. So, maybe now I can feel better about trying this myself. So, yeah.
And and I think the most important thing is this was hard for me because I came from a very Christian conservative background. Don't be ashamed. Everyone has, even people who won't admit it, everybody has their taste. Everybody has something that they are probably worried if they told someone they would think, what the fuck made you get into that? We all have it. There's no shame in it. But it can be hard. There's a lot of stigma. And there's always the fear you tell the wrong person, they will judge you. There's some friends that if they listen to the podcast, they're going to be learning about me for the first time. And it may and I do worry it might catch them off guard. But also, I can't keep worrying about what people think about me. I'll get nowhere. I'll get absolutely nowhere. I've been way more open. A lot of my friends know I'm a submissive now. It first felt odd being so open about it, but it's just what it is. Why be ashamed of it? And I'm not. I could be a little awkward about it because I'm an awkward person, but the number one lesson I'm learning, and number one lesson to anyone listening to this who are thinking about dipping your toes in, and I can't stress this enough, and it's something I'm still doing and I'm going to be doing constantly. Educate yourself, educate yourself, educate yourself. If you think you're submissive, read up on blogs, papers, books. There's great groups everywhere. I'm on a few groups on Facebook that gives me good information and good stories that lets me know in detail not only how to better fulfill my role, but what to look for in a dom, and more importantly, maybe what not to look for. Because as I said earlier, there are abusive people out there, and they think they're doms, but what they really are is abusive. And if you ever find yourself in a situation where your limits are not respected, your consent is ignored, or your refusal of consent is ignored, or your safe word is laughed at, get the fuck out. Just because you're submissive doesn't mean you're a doormat. And they have no right to abuse your gift. So educate yourself. I am educating myself. I am navigating waters. I make like I said, I don't always make good decisions easily. So I'm trying to get people in my life who can help educate me so I can make good decisions. Or maybe they can pull me aside and go, Jeri, that person you're vetting, they don't have a good reputation around here. You might want to cut this off. That's what I need. And I'm glad I found a group that dipping my toes in and talking to the leadership and talking to members of the group that I trust, because now I feel like I have community that can keep me from making bad decisions. Doesn't mean I won't make mistakes. I'm pretty sure there's a good chance the first person I vet, it's not going to work out because this is new to me. I'm going to stumble, I'm going to fumble, and it's going to probably take a few tries. And it's going to be frustrating because I'm 39 and I haven't dated in 20 years. And now I'm looking for a type of relationship I've never had before. This is going to be hard, but it's going to be worth it when I find it. You know what I mean? When I find that sir, mistress, whatever, when I find them and I'm willing to be like, I want to be yours. I want to be your submissive. I want to submit. I want to serve you. I can't begin to explain to you, Jay, how wonderful that's going to be. And sometimes I do have a little pushback in my brain. It's like, this kind of goes against everything you believe. I think, no, it doesn't. I'm choosing this. If it wasn't my choice, it would go against everything I believe. I'm choosing this. It brings me comfort. It brings me happiness. It makes me feel good. I'm choosing this. I want this. So I'm going to go get it. And I'm just going to have to go step after step. And that's the hard thing. And that's the hardest part. You're not going to get without doing. And starting is the hardest part. It always is. And that's for anything. Writing, podcasting, getting a new job, education, BDSM. Starting is the hardest part. But I promise you, if you start and you start exploring your interests and exploring what does it for you more and more, it's going to be rewarding. You're going to feel so much free. You're going to feel so less stressed. You're going to feel so less excited. It's not going to cure it. It's not going to cure it. I don't want to come off and say this is going to be a cure for any of that, but it's going to help. I feel so much better being honest with myself instead of pushing back against myself. Whew. I didn't mean to turn this into a therapy session, but I think I kind of did.
No, it's fine. I mean, like I said, save space, keep it casual. The information flows, and who knows how many people this everything that you've said might help.
And I would love to help. If this actually helps anyone, it's worth it to me. I mean, it's already worth it to me just talking about it and being open about it. Because I really feel like we need less stigma about BDSM and stigma about kink in general. It's just people in getting what they need out of life, and there's no shame in that.
That's what I do this show for, because the more people know about it, the less people are going to be ashamed of it.
Exactly. And I was ashamed of it for so long because of internalization, because of stigma, because of fear of being judged. And eventually I just hit a point where it's like, are you going to be afraid of this and just be miserable? Or are you going to embrace it and possibly find happiness you didn't know? I chose happiness. And it's a hard choice. It's weird to say happiness is a hard choice, but sometimes it is. But I picked it. The woman who cannot make decisions to save her life made perhaps one of the more important, as over the top as that may sound, decisions she's made this year. And that's a victory. And so much will hopefully come out of that. It'll take time. It'll take effort. But now the doors are open and I'm not going to shut them. I look at my fetishes from a different light now. I no longer watch certain videos and wonder why. I watch certain videos and go, okay, this has been a 20-year struggle of acceptance and 20-year struggle of realizing what I was into and accepting what I was into. That's a long struggle. And if you're a younger listener to this podcast, while there is no time frame, there is no length restrictions, don't me years to accept what you might be struggling with when it comes to your interests and what you're into. The world is the world. It's scary. The last thing you want to be is afraid of what makes you you. And what makes me me is a transgender woman who is a bottom sub brat. And that's not all of me, just other things of me. And I hope one day someone who sits down and talks to me and gets to know me better finds those things out. But it's a part of me. And it is an important part of me. And I'm so much better embracing it. And that's my story.
Yeah, okay. Well, I wish you all the luck in the world in your future endeavors. And I hope that the journey, though there will be some obstacles in your way. That's just, you can't avoid them.
You can't. You have to deal with them.
But I do hope that you manage to get past them all and you find a good conclusion that suits what you want. It may not be what you're looking for right now, but hopefully if you don't find what you want, you at least find what you need.
Exactly. Not to prolong this too much longer, but I do keep that in mind. What I'm looking for might end up being something I didn't even think about, but I am looking.
Yeah, as long as you keep an open mind.
Yes, it's important. Not just about yourself, but about others. And, do not be afraid to reach out to people who are in the community. I've loved community. They're very helpful if you find the right group. Just research and educate. I cannot repeat that enough. Don't just jump into the first thing you find. Make sure.
That's good advice. And in the future, if you hit some major milestone in your journey and you want to come back on and talk about it, I'd be more than happy to have you back on. You know how to get a hold of me. We're friends on Facebook.
Yes, we are. We do communicate occasionally. Sometimes I share a group that makes people this, and I would love to come back on if I have major updates to share. I would love to just share this journey as I go on it. I'm going to my next one of these next month. I hope to go monthly, stay consistent, or just people I want to talk to a second time. This isn't just finding someone. This is meeting new people, socializing, and getting out there and doing things that are usually scary to me, but I'm doing it anyway. I'm terrified, but I would love to come back on.
Okay. And if any of the listeners, they really want to keep track of the Ballad of Jeri, go ahead and, get a hold of me. I will make it I'll make it a whole new segment of the show. I don't care. It'll be a thing. But, so.
The Journey of Jeri.
Oh, yeah. the Jeri Files.
The Jeri Files.
So, do you have social media that you want to give out, or do you want to keep that private for now?
I'll keep it mostly. I'll give out my FetLife if that's okay.
That's fine.
I'll keep everything else private. I am Jeri Berry. That is spelled JeriBeri. I'm gonna be honest because I use it mostly for group and make friends. My profile is kind of boring, but there's some pictures there. Nothing grotesque. You're not gonna hit face with genitals pictures. Let me just let you know that right now. When I'm telling you right now, when I'm on FetLife, I explore too long. The only thing that enters my head, what a bunch of dicks. Literally, what a bunch of dicks. So I just want you to know, I post occasional cute pictures, but you're not gonna like turn on my profile and go, wow, that's in my face. So, but if you want to get some occasional updates on my journey, or just cute pictures, or just want to friend me and get to know me better, that's how you can do it. All right.
If anybody's got any questions, comments, suggestions for future shows, go ahead and get a hold of me. Facebook, Twitter, email, ludiverspodcast@gmail.com. I've got merch. It's not much, but they're cool shirts. All the stuff's going to be in the show notes for links. It's kind of hard to do a link to a FetLife account, so I'll put the username down, and you can just search it yourselves. That's the best I can do. FetLife weird like that. So thanks for being on the show, and until next time, everyone, keep communicating, keep each other safe, and remember to have fun. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Ludiverse. If you have any questions or comments, contact us on Twitter or Facebook. Just search for the Ludiverse. Remember to rate and review wherever you listen. If you want to help support the show, please consider donating to our Patreon.